Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura. And what do you do with your leftover batting? If you're like me, you like to hold on to it, put it together, and save it for a rainy day. Well, today is that rainy day, and I have decided this time, instead of making a quilt and having the batting fit the quilt, I'm going to make a project that fits the batting. And that way, I don't have to worry about the size of the batting. The batting size that I have is the size that I need. Let me share with you how I like to do these projects. They're usually table runners or even placemats. They're small, they're simple, and the math is going to involve a piece of paper, a pencil, and just some simple drawing lines. So here is that piece of batting that I do want to work with. And I'm going to make that table runner out of this. I did piece two together, and that way I had a larger piece. I do want to make sure that quilt batting is laying flat, and I will fold that in half, smooth it out, and I want to see what size is the bigger and what size is the smaller size. I'm going to take a measurement of the smallest part of the batting. Even though my batting is an irregular size, I will worry about that after. Right now, I want to draw what I want to do. So once I get my size, I'm going to just quickly draft it out. And I really find this simple way is the easiest way. My piece of batting is 18 inches by 53 inches. So I want my table runner to fit inside. I will need about an inch all the way around of that batting showing. So I write down 1 inch. From here, we can decide what this is going to look like. I like to start with 2 borders, an outside border and a little small border. So I'm just going to draw that in. So I have my batting, outside border, and inside border, and this center piece. So far, I have no measurements except that 1 inch hanging over of that batting. I'm going to figure out the center size by working my way from the outside. And sometimes I will just use what I have left over. For example, I have some strips of fabric at 2.5 inches. And I have enough to go all the way around, so I'm going to use that measurement. So it would be 2 inches when we are finished, but 2.5 inches, I'm just going to make a note so that I remember. So that will be the outside. Now I have little strips of 1.5 inch pieces. So that will be a finished 1 inch. I'm going to write my 1 inch down, 1.5, just so that I remember. So those are my cut sizes. I could just add up my measurements now, which means I will have 4 inches on each side, a total of 8 inches. So I'm going to take 8 inches off of that measurement, which gives me 10 inches. So this center piece now has been determined for me. It is going to be a cut 10.5 inches. So I now have that inside measurement. I'm going to figure out the same for that length. I already know that my border with that little backing sticking out is 8 inches. So I'm going to be able to subtract the 8 inches from the 53 inches, which is going to give me 45 inches. Now 45 inches is a good measurement. However, I don't have a piece of fabric 45 inches. So I'm going to change it so this measurement will fit the width of the fabric for me. So I'm going to make it 43 inches, and that way I can trim off the selvages. So that 43 inches is my cut size. I'm going to end up with the inside at 42.5. It is a very crude drawing, but it works out well, and I can visually see what this is going to look like. I was able to use my 2.5 inch strips that have already been cut. I do have that 1.5 inch that I'm able to use up, and now I can just cut that center piece and start with that. From here I can decide where am I going to put my seams. I do like to do my long seams first. So I draw my seam lines. Now I'm going to put the seam on that last side. Now I could do some really simple math and figure out all the sizes that I need, or I can measure as I go along. So I have that center piece cut. I have my 2 side pieces cut, and I'm going to be able to go and just sew those right onto this center. When that's done, I'm going to cut those 2 ends, put those on that put the sides and the top just like my drawing. I now have my very basic simple table runner done, and it's going to match my batting size. I find drawing the picture and doing the simple math right on a piece of paper really is the best way of doing it. Not only does it give me a visual on what it's going to look like, I'm able to figure out all of my cutting measurements. This type of table runner is great on its own. There's elegance in it, it's simple, it's clean, but we can always change it and spruce it up. If you want to turn this into something for Valentine's Day, I could just cut some fun little hearts and put them on the ends, and that is always fun and pretty. You could do circles, you could do clovers for St. Patrick's Day. Really, you can do anything. But for this particular one, I am going to leave it with just this very simple border. This simple design for a table runner is a great way of using up the quilt batting. Even if we wanted to do placemats, we could do the same thing with smaller placemats. We just need to draw ourselves a simple measurement, subtract as we go so that we can get that middle measurement. Normally we build from the inside out, and then we have to find batting to match. But by doing it this way, I have made my quilt match my batting. So I only had to trim off about 1 inch all the way around. One side was a little bit more, another side wasn't as much, but my project fit. I got to use up my batting. I do hope this gives you some ideas on how to use up your scraps of batting. And as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.